I had seen My Fake Fiancé before a long, long time ago, but I'd never reviewed it, so I took the opportunity to rewatch it. And it's okay. I like the narrative, but I kind of really don't like the protagonists. I love the actors, but the protagonists are just a little bit annoying. This was released in 2009. It's directed by Gil Junger, written by Howard March, and we have a cast including Melissa Joan Hart as Jennifer and Joey Lawrence as Vince. And they both meet at a wedding, and then they decide sometime later, it's not an immediate decision, but they do decide that if they fake an engagement, they'll get a load of engagement presents, and then ultimately they don't go ahead with the wedding, but they get to keep the presents, they can sell them for money, whatever they want to do. It's a way of getting some money and some presents, and it seems like a terrible idea, but an interesting idea for a film. And I couldn't remember what happened in this. I could remember tiny bits and pieces, but certainly not the bulk of the film. And my big question was, and I genuinely couldn't remember how it ended. I must have seen this roughly when it came out, was would they be able to pull this off? Would anybody be able to identify what was actually going on? And as a narrative, it works well enough. It's a little slow, but it does work well. And ultimately, I was left wanting to find out what happened. And I thought I could remember what happened, but I couldn't quite remember it. So one of the great things about having a terrible memory is that I can rewatch films, and it's almost like watching it for the first time. I could remember bits of this, but I couldn't remember if I enjoyed it. In my mind, I liked it the first time I watched it, but I didn't love it with this watch. I didn't dislike it, but it certainly wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. And the main reason for that is because of the characters. I think Jennifer and Vince are just a little irritating. They're not the most likable characters. I wouldn't say I hate them, and they didn't otherwise ruin a good narrative. It's certainly a watchable film. I'd say it's more than watchable, but there was just something about both of them that really irritated me. And that's quite unusual for a film to have two irritating protagonists. Usually when that's the case, it's one of them maybe at the most, but for me to kind of dislike both of them, it wasn't great. But the narrative itself was interesting enough, so it was still a more than watchable film. And because of that, I'm happy enough to recommend it. I can't imagine I'd watch it a second time. I might have thought that the first time I watched it, but since I'd never reviewed it, I thought that was a pretty good reason to watch it again. And as I said, I couldn't remember. There was no way I could have reviewed this without rewatching. I absolutely could not remember enough of this. And in general, yeah, I like the narrative. I like the story. I was emotionally invested in finding out what would happen, and I wanted to have certain feelings. I wanted to feel excited about the plot and the way it developed. And I'd say for the most part, yeah, it was an interesting story. It's just a shame that our protagonists, for me at least, were just a little bit irritating. But as I said, not enough to really affect my overall enjoyment of the film. And I do love Melissa Joan Hart. So there were enough elements in this that I came away from it feeling pretty satisfied with the experience. Not as perfect as it could be, but I still enjoyed it. And if it sounds like a story that might appeal to you, or if you're interested in any of the cast, then as I said, it's more than watchable, and I'm happy to recommend it.